Hello and welcome to this another episode of The Wave. I'm your host Don Tecson, coming to you live from my home via Zoom. And yes, I am alone for 31 days now. Oh my God. Anyway,
Wow.
I'm so happy to have as my guest for today Captain Michael Ramsay of the Salvation Army. First off, before we say anything else, I would like to apologize to Captain Ramsay and our audience that this interview should have been aired last Friday, but silly me, I forgot to push the record button. I'm making sure that I have the record button. It's pushed. Okay, so we are recording this interview. So thank you for taking the time again, Captain Ramsay, to be interviewed over the show, our show, The Wave. As I have already told you, The Wave means Wonderful Alberni Valley Experience. And despite the crisis, I'm still sure we are going to be still having a wonderful Alberni Valley experience. Like yourself, you're just new to the valley, aren't you? Just came here 2 years ago, as I recall.
Just 2 years ago. Most recently from inner city Toronto. So
as
it's been
a member or an officer, so they call you an officer or a member? You're a captain.
an officer. Yeah.
An officer of the Salvation Army. You've been to different places in Canada. Just
like
Army
absolutely.
person would.
What's that?
I mean, you've been assigned everywhere in Canada. I mean, different places in Canada, just like a regular Army person would, right?
Absolutely. So most recently we were in inner city Toronto. Before that we were in rural Saskatchewan, and I spent some time with the Salvation Army in Stony Mountain Penitentiary and Vancouver's downtown east side. They post us around wherever they need us. So
yeah, definitely. And how are you liking your wave so far, your wonderful Alberni Valley experience?
Oh, it absolutely is a wonderful Alberni Valley experience. Oh, it's absolutely, this is a great community. It's, as they say, it's a community with a heart, right? So there's lots of need here, but there are so many people who are willing to step up and participate in helping out that makes it just such a blessing to serve alongside the people here. It really is.
Yes, it is wonderful. I have come to know this community. I moved here in 2015. I've been here 4 or 5 years going now, and this is such a community with such a big heart. A small community, but a big heart. Now, I recall in our interview, which was not recorded, you mentioned something about an adventure, because when this whole crisis broke out, you were not here. You were in Germany with your wife and 2 daughters, I think.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So when this all happened, we were in Germany, and so we wound up basically fleeing over borders as borders closed. So when
oh my
Denmark, they actually sealed off the borders, and the army came out to guard the bridge. So we had to drive over the bridge to Sweden and catch a ferry back to Germany, and we originally had flown out of the United States to get to Germany, but the United States closed down to foreigners first. So our car is still down there because we couldn't fly back to the States. So yeah, it was quite an adventure.
So up to this day, I mean, your car is still down in Germany?
Well, our car's in the States, yeah, because
in the States.
Seattle, so.
Oh my goodness! Oh, so you were supposed to drive back from the States to drive back to Canada?
Yes.
That's your plan. Okay. So you're carless, but you have a new vehicle.
Yeah. Hey, now that's a perfect segue. That's
right. Because in our last interview, so you made it back. Welcome back. I'm glad you were able to come back to Port Alberni, in spite of all the hurdles and the boundaries you had to jump and cross. But now you mentioned to me that during the last interview that was not recorded, again, my apologies, you were in the process of getting a vehicle to sort of like a mobile food truck to help feeding the homeless people. Can you tell me about that? That's an update right there.
Excellent. So it's on its first run out here serving Port Alberni right now as we're talking. So so what we've had, we deliver as many meals as we can straight to people's homes. If you've got an address that we can deliver to, we've got volunteer drivers out taking meals to your home if you need them. However, there's quite a number of homeless and near homeless in Port Alberni who don't have addresses that we can deliver to. So in order to in order to protect them, so that they don't need to keep wandering down to the Salvation Army or another location in order to get their food, we brought in this mobile kitchen, that we can bring around to different places in town and serve people straight from the mobile kitchen. So it's such a blessing.
That is wonderful. And now you have a car as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's also how I get to and from the office. Yeah.
So how long has when did this mobile kitchen arrive? Last Sunday?
Yeah, Saturday, I think it was Saturday when I
Okay.
was on the ferry there, uh, and
Was that the ferry that got stuck in the middle of the ocean because
that
there
is
was?
the ferry.
Oh my goodness!
I know I should be writing a book between these.
Yeah, like, you and your travels. It's just an adventure already, right?
Yes.
But it was also my understanding from our last interview that you are part of the ACCR, Alberni COVID Crisis Response,
Yes.
which is a collaborative effort between Salvation Army, Canadian Mental
Yes.
Health, Literacy Alberni, and Bread of Life.
Yes, and
Can you
the
tell us a little bit
Shelter
about that?
Society as well.
Sorry?
Oh, I was just gonna say, and the Shelter Society as well.
Oh, the Shelter Society. So
Yeah.
there are 5 organizations now.
5 organizations. So
Yeah,
yes,
can
so
you tell us a little bit about that?
yes, absolutely. So the organizations came together, and especially um, Bread of Life and Salvation Army, Canadian Mental Health. We're trying to figure out how to feed, particularly the homeless and the near homeless in this crisis. So we immediately closed down the Bread of Life to serving meals because that's a gathering spot, and the last
Yeah.
thing you want to do is put anybody in harm's way, let alone the vulnerable population. So we moved the operations of those organizations coming to meet at the front door of the Salvation Army, where we were able to put up protective screens and social distancing and all the rest of that. And now, of course, we move to the next step with being able to deliver right to where the homeless and the near homeless are. And so it's a great partnership because we're able to share resources. We communicate regularly on a basis. We often work with many of the same people. So this streamlines it all and really provides the most possible hope and support for people at this time.
Oh, that's great. That's so you mentioned to me. I remember you mentioning. Now, how many people do you feed a day, like delivery and all that stuff?
Yeah. So yesterday in our deliveries going out to their homes, we did I think 560 individuals that we brought food out to straight to their doors. So
To their door. And then how many have you fed so far with the mobile kitchen?
So with the mobile kitchen, the first runs out today, but I'm guessing the number will be somewhere around 115, 130, something like that.
Oh, so more or less, what are the areas that this will cover? Like Third Avenue, Uptown, Harbor area?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly the areas.
Now, basically, is there anybody in particular taking the lead in all this? Is it Salvation Army with the collaboration or cooperation of the other organizations? So Salvation Army is in the forefront of all of this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been working very closely with Colin Minions. He's
Mm-hmm.
part of the board at Bread of Life, as well as with Canadian Mental Health. And John Edmondson, he's another person on the board of the Bread of Life with me. And so the 3 of us particularly have been talking every day, many times during the day, to try and coordinate how resources go back and forth. But Salvation Army, because of our role in the community, yeah, absolutely necessarily right on the front line, because we're doing the packaging of all the hampers here, and we're doing the delivery of the food from here. The
Mm-hmm.
Bread of Life kitchen is great. So we've got the cook from the Bread of Life. They're just cooking up a storm in the kitchen. So, and Canadian Mental Health, they're making sandwiches. And
Okay.
now, as of this week, we're opening up a second kitchen in the Legion
Oh,
because
yes,
the
you
need is
mentioned that a
just,
while ago.
yeah, because the need is well, far greater than we could have possibly anticipated.
So where does the funding come from all of this? Does it come from the federal government, the provincial government, the municipal government, or everybody in on it?
Yeah, so of course every time we hear an announcement like anybody else, we're trying to track down as much of those funds as we can get. I'm very hopeful about the announcement that was made today about wage subsidies for charities, because that'll help out quite a bit. of course, Food Banks Canada and Food Banks BC. Salvation Army's the representative of the food banks in Port Alberni here, so we're hoping to be able to get some of the funding through there. But honestly, the bulk of our funding comes from the generosity of this community.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, because I mean, the Bread of Life is the community's soup kitchen, and the Salvation Army is the community's food bank. And we really are a part of this community, and it's the generosity of the community that makes this possible at all. So it really is, because it's a wonderful Alberni Valley experience, we're able to do this at all, right?
Well, with that said, I'd like to give you this opportunity to make a call to the people who are watching. So I want to make a donation. What do I do? Where do I bring it? Do I go online? Do I drop it off somewhere? Making a donation.
Absolutely. So you can, if you would like to make a donation online, you can certainly do that through Canada Helps for the Bread of Life or the Salvation Army. The Bread of Life also
what's the web address for that? For CanadaHelps.ca or something?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. And or Salvation Army, because I saw an ad on national TV that I think it was Gospel Union Church and Salvation Army joining forces to raise $2 million in 2 weeks.
Yes, in Vancouver there. So that's absolutely a blessing, right? So yeah, the two organizations have partnered for that fundraiser. So yeah, yes, I think they're 1 week into it. So that's very exciting.
Is there any particular organization here that's raising funds for your projects or your programs? Is it just Bread of Life? I see Call in Minions. I've donated a couple of times, raising funds for is that for what you're doing now?
Absolutely, yeah. Call in Minions has been very good on Facebook there, putting together the Facebook groups for the ACCR. And those donations have gone straight through to the Bread of Life. And of course, everything that's donated to the Bread of Life, Salvation Army, or Canadian Mental Health that's dedicated to COVID relief will go directly into providing food to people. So, I mean, if you want to donate to any one of those organizations and mention that it's for COVID, it'll all go directly into providing food for the people who need it at this time.
Okay, that's perfect. And then I want to volunteer. Where do I go?
Yeah, so give us a phone call at Salvation Army, 250-723-6913. And if the line is busy, which it often is, just leave a message, and Sarah Grace or someone in our front office will give you a call back, and we'll put you to work.
Okay, perfect. And so can you say that number again, just for our audience sake?
Absolutely. 250-723-6913.
Okay, 250-713-69. Oh, my memory is not that sharp anymore.
723-6913.
Okay, you can catch it on the replay. You have a replay button in your for the audience, right? So, what is there a separate number I call if I'm the one who needs help, like I need food or assistance or counseling? Because many people are on the verge of insanity. I mean, God forbid that what happened in Nova Scotia should happen here. I mean, you know, it's that there is a psychological, there is a mental effect of all this on people, right? So is there a separate number to call or a separate website to go to maybe?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, that's very important, right? The mental health and the emotional and spiritual care. So you can definitely call that number. That'll give you to the Salvation Army right away, and then they can patch you through to whoever else if there's nobody right on site who's able to help you at that time, but there probably will be, or Canadian Mental Health. And I don't have their number on me right now, but call either the number I just gave you for the Salvation Army or Canadian Mental Health, and they can absolutely help out in those ways.
Okay, so as far as feeding people, what else is the group doing in terms of responding to the crisis?
Sure. So the main mandate is, of course, feeding people and also providing hygiene, because I mean, the nature of the COVID pandemic is it's very much hygiene related. So we've got wonderful donations from Soap from Hope in Victoria with hand sanitizers, soaps, different hygiene products to try and keep people clean, safe, and healthy. And any other donations that we have come in here, we're able to send out to people who are in most need of it. And you'd already mentioned the emotional and spiritual care and the mental health aspects of it. We are always here to help out with those things as well.
Well, I heard another church that's been helping you out is Trinity. They did a food drive, Trinity Anglican Lutheran Church with Pastor
Yes.
Brenda. And they gave you masks or something?
Is that where the mask came from as well? Okay.
Yeah.
Trinity
Well, in our last
great.
interview, before I interviewed you, I interviewed Pastor Brenda.
Nice.
And then she was telling me that she was going to bring you some masks. But since I mentioned that I'm interviewing you, she mentioned, oh, don't tell him I'm bringing any masks yet, because I wanted to be a surprise.
Okay. We've got the masks.
Okay.
I have the masks. They're great masks too. Yes. So absolutely, we've got the masks, and they came from Trinity, and Trinity did that great food drive, and we had a number of people dropping off stuff from that food drive. It was such a blessing. And Jericho Road has also been helping out. And again, it really is the community with the heart, right? To have Trinity, have Jericho, have the other groups pitching in and helping where they can. The number of people we've had stepping up who are willing to drive to take things out to people's homes that can't come out, it really is a blessing.
It is. It's such a wonderful Alberni Valley experience. Exactly.
It is. It really is.
So how about you on a personal level? How are you coping? You got a wife, you got kids. Are they in isolation as well? Are they not going bonkers?
Oh yeah, well that's the thing with going bonkers. And I know the first 2 weeks when we were back from Germany and we were under the solid isolation where you can't even go out to go grocery shopping, people had to deliver it. I don't know how people have done it for 30 days. At the end of the 2 weeks, when I was able to get out and get to work to help people, I was done. So yeah.
In your count, I mean, you're not in self-isolation, but you have counted a day since this thing broke out. And I mean, is your wife is at home with the kids, I suppose,
yeah.
Right? So what is the day count on that? 30, 31?
Yeah, I think it's 30, 31, 30, between 31 and 33 days, I think.
Okay. Since you got back from Germany, you mean? Or no?
Yeah, since we got back from Germany. And then, and then the first 2 weeks, we're in total isolation. And so
just out of curiosity, what were you doing in Germany anyway?
Well, we were just there for vacation. We wanted to see something.
Okay.
But it turned out to be an interesting vacation because we mostly just got to see things that were outside, because as soon as we got there, they closed everything down.
You mean you had no hotel or anything? Or
well, that was a bit of a challenge in some of the places too. But yeah, we mostly were able to get hotels and things, but we got to see, the outside of many nice buildings and the outside of many museums. And yeah.
The outside. So you were there on vacation. How long were you in Germany?
Well, let's see, between Germany, Denmark, and Sweden, I don't know. I think we were just there for 5 or 6 days. We were supposed to be there for about 2 weeks, but because of COVID, yeah.
Oh, so you had a 2-week vacation planned out in those places, and the COVID, and you had to come home and leave your car down in the States. What part of the States? Seattle?
Just in Seattle, so yeah. So whenever we're allowed to go back down there, we can get it, yeah.
Well, I heard over the radio that there have been 109 confirmed cases in the island, and there just a little bit over 1,600 in BC, if I remember correctly. So BC has done quite well, and Port Alberni is doing pretty well, and so are other neighbors like Qualicum and Parksville. Because I was just in an interview with a friend in Parksville. Most of it is shut down anyway, because Parksville, by and large, is a retirement community.
Yes.
Even here, I mean, there is the working people, but there are a lot of retired people here who are very susceptible to this virus. So we're really, I think Port Alberni, what do you think about Port Alberni's effort to bend the curve?
Yeah, well, and again, I appreciate the extra effort that everyone is going to, and the fact that we've got seniors who have to go out and do their own shopping are able to do it earlier in the morning before others come out. And I think what the Bulldogs and Save On have this program where they deliver groceries for seniors, I believe. Is that
Yes,
did I read that? So, and the number of neighbors that I've seen who are going out and doing grocery shopping for their elderly neighbors so that their neighbors can stay safe inside, it's a real blessing. So yeah, I think it's been really encouraging to see how the members of our community have stepped up to help one another out at this time.
It is so wonderful to see our coming together instead of in spite of our being having to be apart, we're still
Yeah.
coming together in a stronger and a better way, actually.
Yes.
So right now you're in your office here nearby. I live
Yes.
down the road from you.
Yeah.
So I could see the truck. I wish I had a picture of it. I put it on the video, but anyway, we'll get to it. So is there a does Port Alberni Salvation Army have a particular website that we can go visit and get more information at?
Sure. If you look up the Alberni Valley on Facebook, Alberni Valley Salvation Army on Facebook, or even the Alberni Community Response on Facebook, and
Okay.
look at our pages, you'll have absolutely regular updates, pictures of the volunteers who are helping out, showing the numbers of people who are being helped out, and just ways that you can contribute to this effort too and be part of this response and part of helping out your neighbor.
Okay, when you mentioned something about the Organization for Shelter, have they been able to help people who have no shelter? Or people who
Yes.
have troubled shelters that they have to flee their homes because there's some sort of domestic violence going on in their homes?
Yeah, so domestic violence, that would be a cause, and I know they've been very much active. I have no inside information on either how it's the shelters going or how ACAUS are going, but I know that ACAUS is definitely still there and still available for anybody who needs to flee violence. So yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for taking the time again.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, this is, and of course, for everybody, the last interview was perfect, right? I mean, yeah.
Oh, this is better.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Sort of like a rehearsal or something. And
There
I
we
think
go.
I'm dressed more appropriately for the interview because I have your colors.
Yeah, that's right. You went all out with the Salvation Army red and white. That's excellent.
Well, I did a
done.
little research. I said I may as well try to make up for it for the last boo-boo.
But thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me twice, right? So that's
Well, the first time was my fault. So, well, thank you for taking the time, and thank you for doing what you're doing. I mean, it's a great blessing to have you here. Thank God we have you as part of our community here in Port Alberni. You definitely add, add to all the wonderful Alberni Valley experience that we can have here. Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless.